Welcome back to the Blue Teaming series. Today we begin our 4-part ArcSight practical journey. 4 parts, because ArcSight simply refused to fit into one video without melting my brain. In part 1 we cover ArcSight architecture from end to end. Logs fetched, SmartConnectors working overtime, CEF doing wizardry, Logger storing everything like a digital hoarder, and ESM acting like a security Sherlock Holmes. Part 2 gets hands-on with installing smart connectors, setting receivers, and managing caching so connectors don't panic during log storms. Part 3 dives into logger engineering with storage groups, device groups, receivers, indexing, and retention, basically giving logger the strength to survive a compliance audit. Part 4 explores the ESM console where rules, filters, active lists, and channels turn boring logs into, hey, that's an attack. By the end, you'll understand ArcSight like someone who has battled it at 2 a.m. Now, grab your coffee, let's start Part 1, ArcSight Architecture.
Part 1, ArcSight Architecture. Now we will understand the entire ArcSight architecture from start to end. If you want to work in a SOC, become a CM engineer, or simply understand how logs become alerts, then this video will build the foundation for the rest of the series. So let us begin with a simple question. Where do logs come from? Everything starts inside the customer environment. At the customer side, logs are generated by almost every device you can imagine. Windows endpoints, Linux servers, firewalls, routers, switches, applications, databases, and cloud services continuously produce logs every second. Some logs are pushed automatically using protocols like UDP and TCP syslog, while others are pulled using methods like WMI, WinRM, or API calls, especially in Windows and cloud platforms. No matter how the logs arrive, one thing is always true: raw logs are messy, inconsistent, and come in many different formats. ArcSight needs to make sense of all this chaos, and the first component responsible for this job is the ArcSight Smart Connector. The raw logs coming from different devices land on the connector server, where smart connectors are installed. A smart connector is one of the most important parts of the ArcSight architecture because this is where collection, parsing, filtering, normalization, aggregation, caching, and forwarding all happen. You can think of smart connectors as log translators. They take logs in hundreds of different formats and convert them into one standard format known as CEF, the common event format. Once the logs are cleaned, parsed, normalized, and prepared, the connector forwards them to the next major component in the pipeline, ArcSight Logger. ArcSight Logger is the storage engine of the entire architecture. Its responsibility is to store logs, index them, compress them, archive them, and provide fast search capabilities. When normalized CEF logs reach Logger, they are immediately indexed, allowing analysts to search through millions of events in seconds. Logger is not just a storage box. It is optimized for high-speed log ingestion, rapid lookups, and long-term retention. When security teams need to investigate old incidents, trace attacker movements, or perform forensic analysis, Logger is the place they rely on. But even though Logger is powerful, the real intelligence of ArcSight exists in the next component, ESM. ArcSight ESM, or Enterprise Security Manager, is the brain of the entire system. This is where real-time correlation happens and where ArcSight detects brute force attacks, malware communication, unauthorized access, privilege escalation, lateral movement, and other suspicious behavior. When logs flow from Logger to ESM, they arrive as a continuous live stream. ESM evaluates every single event using correlation rules. For example, if 10 failed logins from the same IP occur within 1 minute, ESM can immediately detect it as a potential brute force attack. At the core of ESM is the CORR engine, which stands for Correlation Optimized Retention and Retrieval. This engine performs extremely fast event lookups, runs billions of correlations, stores correlation results, and passes alerts to analysts. If ESM identifies suspicious activity, it generates an alert. If nothing suspicious is found, the events are simply stored for future reference. Once an alert is generated, the final stage of the architecture is the Analyst Console. This is where SOC analysts spend most of their time. Inside the console, analysts monitor real-time dashboards, investigate alerts, run queries, examine event details, identify patterns, and manage rules, filters, and cases. Although this console is the front end of ArcSight, everything that appears here is powered by the underlying components of the architecture: the SmartConnectors, the logger, the ESM system, and the core engine. When we put everything together, the entire ArcSight architecture flows in a smooth chain. Raw logs are generated in the customer environment, collected and normalized by SmartConnectors, forwarded to Logger for indexing and storage, passed to ESM for real-time correlation, and finally displayed to the analyst for investigation. This complete journey is how ArcSight converts random logs from hundreds of devices into real-time threat intelligence. Without this architecture, SOC analysts would be blind. With it, they can detect attacks within seconds. This completes Part 1, the full architecture walkthrough. In Part 2, we will begin hands-on work. We will install a SmartConnector, configure receivers, validate event flow, understand aggregation and caching, explore parsing, and watch live logs getting converted into CF. This is where the real engineering work begins, so make sure you do not miss the next video, because once logs start flowing, ArcSight truly comes alive.